Future Prospects, guys. I am excited because I have an amazing young man who my God, he's broken barriers. Not only broken barriers, he is a go-getter. He's so, oh my God, he's so passionate about what he does. Kwasi Adu-Poku, a young man I found on my LinkedIn networking, and I had to get him on the show to share and inspire you, other future prospects, what you can do with your lives. With no further ado, Kwasi Adu-Poku. Am I saying your name correctly, honey?
Adu-Poku. I know there's a little B with the B. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the screen, looking at the paper, looking at the screen, looking at the paper. I apologize. Second segment, I'll get it right. Welcome,
okay.
Honey. Welcome to Future Prospects. How you doing?
I'm doing good today. How are you doing?
I'm good, sweetheart. So how I found you was on LinkedIn. And I was so intrigued by your story and your platform. And I don't want to introduce you to the viewers, which I've done. I want them to hear from you. So we met through LinkedIn, but I'd like you to introduce yourself to the viewers, who you are and what you're doing, and share your wonderful story, Kwasi.
All right, well, I'd love to do that. Well, if I could start, I guess I'd just talk a bit about my upbringing and how I got to this point here.
Yes.
I grew up in the Jane and Finch community in Toronto for most of my life. I'm Yan Yin. I'm lucky to have two loving parents and two older brothers that care for me. I'm the youngest. I've definitely picked up a lot of lessons in my life as I've grown up, whether it's been through some unfortunate experiences or, times where I had to work really hard. But I'm also a basketball player, and that's, I guess, one side of the story that got me to this point. I play for the McMaster Marauders. Quarantine and COVID kind of nixed my last season, but I've honestly had a lot of time to reflect during quarantine, and I really just started to see the worth in basketball, not just for the fun I have on the court, but for the lessons I learned off of it. And that's really what propelled me to create the Reach series, which was essentially a platform for me to help share these lessons to people who could benefit from them too.
All right. Well, I'm going to tease you and have fun with you because you went from segment 1 to segment 4. That's okay, honey. That's okay. I'm just having fun with you. I'm having fun. I told you, you're going to have fun on this show. It's all good. So I'm going to reel it back. All right. So you were brought up at Jane and Finch. So you're a city man. You lived in the city.
Yeah, I've been in Toronto my whole life. If I could even think about my schools, I went to Gosford. Then I got into this thing called the Gifted program, which some people here may not know about. Yeah, and I remember grade 4.
Share. Come on.
Okay, well, yeah, I used to be, I seem really calm now, but I was kind of a troublemaker when I was younger.
You?
Yeah, a lot of people would not know, because my parents thought, everyone thought I was in trouble, because I was just always acting up, the class clown and everything, and I didn't realize it, but I'd always finish my work way earlier than everyone, and I kind of goof off and distract people. And they started realizing, okay, maybe there's a reason he's finishing his work way earlier than everyone. Maybe there's a reason he's being such a clown. And they found out that I was, I think, the 99th percentile after they did a test. And then they sent me to a gifted school the next year in Stanley, PA. Yeah, and I guess that was the start of me. Even when I look back, just starting to break barriers and starting to challenge a lot of the norms expected out of people from my community. And yeah, just even talking to you right now, I'm starting to realize that was pretty much the first step of how I got where I am today.
Right. Stepping stones, my friend. Stepping stones. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
There was something on your Instagram, and I'm trying to remember what it was, and just took a little notes from it. You said at 14 years old, your basketball mentor said to you, the world is an oyster. That's what you quoted on your Instagram. At 14 years old, someone told you that. What have you taken from that? What you've done? Can you share with the viewers why you took that sentence and the words into your life?
Right when you said that, I could picture the moment that, that coach told me that lesson. It was Bruiser, a guy named Stephen Ambrose. Shout out to you. He runs a program called CBA. He was just dropping me off because I was one of the kids who had to, take an hour bus ride just to get there. So he was just, doing me a favor. And he was just really telling me I could, do what I want if I set my mind to it. And just as a young kid who feels like they're going to have to climb a lot of hurdles in their lives, that's just the kind of thing you need to hear one way or another. And if I could think back to that convo, it really just helped me to think that a lot of the things that I might not have believed in myself are possible if I just really set my mind to. So I guess I have that quote on my social media there, just kind of as a reminder, because I feel like it's so easy to get distracted in life, and that's why it's really important to have reminders to keep you grounded and just remind you of who you are and who you could be.
Well, you also said you've applied it to your education, your athletics, and this is what hit me most. Mostly important, you use it in your relationships, surrounding your relationships around you.
Mm-hmm.
That touched me when you said that. So why is it so important to have good people that surround you, Kwasi? Because that really hit me, what you said.
I think it's just so important to have a lot of good people around you, because one way or another, you kind of pick up the traits of the people you surround yourself with the most. Because even when I think about friendships and relationships, there's a lot of vulnerability in there, You're letting people in, and it's not like you let everyone in that you see on the street and everything. There's something bigger to it. And I feel like, as you take that step to get a bit more comfortable with people, some of their traits are naturally going to trickle onto you the same way, your personality, your vibrancy will go to them. So I'm really cognizant of that. And as I've gotten older, I just really started to understand some phrases that seem cliche, because your circle really can impact a lot of how you see life. That's
right. That's so true. So true. Now, speed through 14 years old, gone to high school, lived at Jane. What was it like living at Jane and Finch? What was it like?
To be honest, my parents were really keen on keeping me inside for the most part. Don't get me wrong. Yes. I got to go outside. I played soccer a couple of years. I'd get to sleep over at my cousins' houses and everything. But there's a lot of things that I went through that, only reflecting on now, I could take in the gravity of the situations, because as much as I wanted to, be like, because in my gifted program, I'd basically be in classrooms with kids from all over Toronto and different parts. So they wouldn't all be from Jane and Finch like me. So as much as I tried to be normal, there'd be certain scenarios that, for example, if the news station CP24, there was a thing called, I think it was Project Marvel. I forgot the exact name, but they basically came in and they got some kind of lead, and they just came in and arrested a bunch of people in the middle of the night at 3 or 4 a.m. I was in grade 7, and I literally got woken up in the middle of the night just hearing cops break into all these different apartments underneath, above me and everything. And I remember going back to school, and a bunch of kids are like, "Oh, did you check the news?" And I'm like, "Oh, what happened?" And they're like, "Yeah, we heard there was a break-in or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I heard it," And I didn't realize that just living in that area, there's so many great people. There's so many things I went through, but a lot of it I just didn't realize how serious it was and the kind of impact it would have on me, just in respect.
When you say impact, what do you mean? Can you?
When I speak about impact, I've just realized even just living in an area like this, I guess this one's a touchy topic, but I've started to realize a lot of internalized just anxiety I might have just living in this kind of area, because I found that there was a time where there were a lot of shootings going on, and I realized that even something as simple as walking a block to go to Shoreham Plaza, for example, I'd feel my heart racing, and I'd kind of have my hands like this just to stay ready for whatever happens. And I was starting to realize that I've gotten used to doing things like that, but no one should really have to get so accustomed to not being comfortable, and not I know people talk about, get comfortable being uncomfortable, but this was just an uncomfortable that was just, I just feel like the average person should not have to be accustomed to.
That's right. Should walk down the street and feel like, you'd not be looking over your shoulder all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So you went to high school, the gifted program, and now where are you now?
Well, right now I'm at McMaster University. I'm currently in my Hamilton student house, hence all the anime
Posters on the wall.
Yeah, yeah, I'm an anime. I'm not even gonna lie. But I'm in my final year. I'm doing kinesiology.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did 5 years because of basketball. Currently, I'm preparing my master's applications because I'm trying to get to that next stage of my not just my educational life, but just
Yes.
career and everything. So that's where I am now.
Awesome, honey. So now you're taking kinesiology and science studies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why did you choose that? What made you want to choose that?
Well, for me, it goes back to grade 7. I had a really bad knee injury. Like it was so bad that I had to miss school for a couple months. I was in the hospital. They had to put a metal brace inside my kneecap. It's like something I won't forget. Like you can't see it here, but I still have like a scar to this day from the surgery 10 years ago. Yeah, I found that I had to start going on Google to look at strategies to help fix my knee and to help, feel better, because just literally playing sports hurt, but I just love playing so much that I just would kind of push through it.
Yeah.
I got to the point in grade 12 that I learned about physiotherapy, and I finally got some sessions and I realized that my athleticism kind of went through the roof. I went from jumping like 20 inches to like 36 for like all in the course of a couple months, just because I started taking care of myself.
Wow.
So if I could do all of this just going on Google every day after school, like I really want to know what a university degree will do for my knowledge. That's kind of the backstory behind that.
You're so driven, aren't you?
Yeah. I just like one thing I've always gone through or gone by in my life is just this idea that, if I'm going through some kind of struggle, I want to learn, grow, and understand it just so I could help others, not go through the same thing, or just at the very least feel like they're not alone.
Wow. Well, something, my love, that's why you're sitting in that chair right now on Future Prospects, to inspire others. Within this one segment, you've covered so much about your life in the beginning and now to your next journey. On that note, we're going to come back with Kwasi Adu-Poku. You correct me in the second one. We'll be right back, guys. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Future Prospects with Kwasi Adu-Poku. Did I get it right?
Got that one. You got it.
All right, you got that one. I'm going to keep going. Thank you, sweetie. Okay, phenomenal segment there, hon. I love the way you told your story. I really do. So the picture we showed of your handsome self in the beginning, just showing yourself. But now in this segment, you're at McMaster, right? So you're in university and you're taking kinesiology and science studies. You broke it down, why you delved into it from an accident that you had, finding out 5 years, oh my gosh, what is this all about, right? And you had to educate yourself on that. So now you're taking it. Now, what is it like playing for, was it a dream of yours to play for playing basketball? Like,
well, for me, when I got that knee injury in grade 7, I grew up playing soccer. Even the year before, I got like to the Toronto City Championships for track and field doing hurdles. So basketball wasn't really in the equation for me. But when I got hurt, I wanted to give up on sports. But my brother, both of my brothers, Nena and Kwasi, they both really just wanted to push me and told me, don't give up, just keep playing and everything. And I really, if I'm being honest with you, I was not really the best basketball player by any means. People from my area would just laugh at me. But it was just, some part of me just said, keep working hard. Like, this is going to pay off for you. There's going to be a payoff. I guess I just really had that in the back of my head. So I really wanted to play basketball at any kind of post-secondary institution. It was just a goal I set in the back of my head. Those days where I couldn't really walk, recovering from my surgery, I was just like, you know what? I will be better, and I'll look back on this and I'll kind of laugh, you know. And once I finally got accepted to McMaster, it really just felt like, you know, you did it. Of course, there's a lot of work I had to put in after the fact, but it's just nice to have those moments where you could look back and just see the progress.
Now, when you look back at your life, and this is a really great, great story of yours. When you look back at your life, when you were 14 years old, you had that quote given to you by a basketball mentor, "The world is an oyster." Growing up at Jane and Finch, telling your story with such passion and such heart. How many universities did you apply for before you went?
I think I applied for 2. I just applied to U of T and McMaster. I wanted to apply to Boston, but they didn't have kinesiology.
All right. When you got that letter, when you look at your journey now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at your journey, right? And you have that letter in your hand. How did that feel? For all that studying, for everything, how did you feel when you got that?
It was kind of funny looking back, because initially I could not get into the program I wanted to at McMaster, because most of my high school kind of experience, I was just really doing the bare minimum so that my parents would, 1, let me play sports, and 2, you know, let me go hang out with friends and everything.
Right.
So I basically had, like, you know, high 70s, low 80s average, but for McMaster, you needed an 88. I just remember 88 on the dot. And going into, because I did a 5th year of high school, I didn't meet the requirement. So that first semester, I just had to work so hard to get, you know, 95 pluses in literally everything. And I somehow did it. I don't know how I did. It really made me, like, one thing I took from that was just, instead of, you know, working really hard at the last minute, just do your early work, because the way I stressed in my 5th year, it did pay off. And at the end of it, I remember seeing the acceptance, and like, just, I couldn't control it, but I felt like tears, you know, coming down my face, because I was just really thinking, you know, wow, this is happening. Like, I did it. You know, I really didn't think it was possible at times, as much as I tried to stay positive, but, you know, it's happening. And sometimes when it's happening, yeah.
Did you remember trying out? You remember the days when you tried out? You remember the actual time when you walked on the court? Like, you are playing varsity basketball and you walked in there and you had to try out. Because you're in your 4th year of university. How did that feel? Like, when you're walking in there and...
In my 4th year university?
No. When you're in your 4th year now, but I'm saying your 1st year of basketball, when you tried out for the Marauders, how did that feel?
It was kind of a unique experience, because I had a really good game in high school. I remember that I had like 20 points in the first half. A guy named Jim Thomas told me to told me to come to McMaster. I didn't know what McMaster was at the time. I thought it was like a McDonald's sandwich. You know, you're just high school, you're just not thinking.
Right.
I looked into the program, I fell in love. By the time I got to McMaster in September, and there was a lot of resistance for me to go, because that was a challenge in itself. But just being there and having to try out again, it was exciting to say the least, because I just really felt like it was another challenge, another chapter, but another chance for me to really prove myself. So
right.
I definitely remember the sprints, the suicides, all the drills. Not like, you know, there's an exercise called to, like, you go free throw line, half court,
right?
Everything, but yeah, it's just, I guess the challenge just really, like, lit my eyes up, lit my heart up, and there's no looking back.
The reason why I delve into that, because I love basketball. I really, really do. I love the sports. I love it dearly. But the reason why I delved into it is because I want to ask you the next question, which a lot of youth ask themselves. They look at you, they're hearing your story, and they're thinking, will this ever happen to me? So why is it important to believe in your dreams? Why is it important to be persistent? Why is it to be passionate?
I think all those things are so important, because I speak to a lot of it in my workshops that I run, but I just find that, you know, no matter how many people you have in your corner, no matter how much support and compliments you'll hear, at the end of the day, if you don't have yourself, you know, a lot of the uplifting messages you'll hear will, like, a lot of them will be for nothing at the end of the day, because if you're not there to believe in yourself most times, then you'll start to realize that dream, that vision that others have for you, the one that you can kind of see, if you don't genuinely see it from the bottom of your heart, then it'll be a lot harder to really attain. That's just one thing I found, because I just feel like we all have dreams. I feel like we all, have something that we go to sleep dreaming about, wake up thinking about, and a lot of it just comes down to you just genuinely telling yourself, like, I could do this. It might not feel like that today, it might not feel like that tomorrow, but I'm gonna get there somehow.
You got it, huh? Do you do any self-talk? Do you do any self-talk, like when you're coming up with a challenge or anything? Like, do you mentally talk to yourself?
It's funny you say that. I looked to my room. I know we're on Rogers TV. I literally taped messages to the roof.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much a lot of positive affirmations, a lot of things and accomplishments I've achieved in my life. And I just wanted to put them there. So as I wake up, whether I wake up feeling, anxious about my obstacles or not, I'll be able to, see these positive reminders of things I've done in my life. So I definitely think self-talk is crucial.
Yes, it is. Because I know when I talk and I ask students that, some kind of look at me and they go, what's that? Or they don't actually verbally say it, but just by their body and the way they, express it, when they tilt their head or something. I find it's really, really important. It truly, truly is. Who would you say is one of your strong mentors? Or if you can share some mentors in your life. One was your basketball mentor when you were 14 years old, but other ones throughout your journey, and the importance of a mentor.
Right when you told me to think about mentors, I honestly immediately thought of my two older brothers. I'm like the youngest in my family, so in a lot of ways they see me as the baby. But even with the story I told you about both of my brothers really convincing me to play sports again, they've been people who I can come to for a multitude of issues in my life, whether it's athletics, academics, just life, relationships. They've just been there for me in so many ways, and I'm forever indebted to them. There's just so many people, because one thing about me is I'm willing to hear anyone out as long as I could, tell where your intentions are. I am just someone that loves to learn. So I feel like for that reason, I have a lot of mentors in my life, because you can learn a lot from a lot of people. And I've just opened myself up to, hearing people out. And I found that it's done wonders for not just my, mindset, but just a lot of what makes my demeanor as I go through life.
Got you. How's your parents? How are they? How are they as parents with you? Because the reason being why I go to the heart is because I believe that parents should support their children, which I believe yours have and still do. But what have they meant to you within your journey, Kwasi?
When I think about what my parents have meant to me,
yes, hon.
It's one of those things where I feel like it's a recurring theme, but I didn't realize the significance of a lot of the things they've done for me until I've gotten older, because they were, pretty strict on me growing up. I remember some days I'd just be in like my mom's room and I just had to like go through the spelling bee book. I don't know if you ever made, Michael do the spelling bee, but I just had to read.
I was more of, no, I never done a spelling bee. I remember there was one book we had to read with him. I forget what it was. He's got two books. And oh my gosh, again, all he kept saying was again. But I don't remember the spelling bee, no.
Yeah, but spelling bee, it's like a spelling competition, and they give you a book to read. And I just remember some days I'd just be looking at that book for hours, and I dread a lot of the work and all the homework I had to do. To this day, I don't play video games on weekdays because it's something that made me do since I was young. And now that I'm at my age now, I just realized they did all these things because they care, and because their minds were in the right place, that they could really just help me grow into the kind of man they wanted me to be from, the moment, they saw me in the hospital and everything. And like I said, as I get older, I just continue to realize how grateful I should be for a lot of the things they've done, because it's all been out of care and it's all been out of love, whether I realize it in those moments or not.
So you're the youngest out of how many siblings?
I got two older ones.
And what did they do?
Well, I'll start with my middle brother. He, really stayed in Jane and Finch. He played basketball for York. Currently, he's in Teachers College at York. He's just been doing his thing around the community. He recently got a Toronto Community Housing Scholarship just because they're really recognizing.
I seen that on LinkedIn. Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah. So he's doing his thing. My oldest brother is currently I forgot his exact position, but he works at CAMH, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health.
Awesome.
He's a manager there for one of the divisions there. I'm not sure too much of the specifics, but he has his master's in nursing, so he's a nurse practitioner.
Right.
And everything, master's degree from Ryerson. So I would say he's doing his thing too.
Awesome. So now you're going for your master's,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why?
One big thing, as much as I was passionate about kinesiology, I've started to realize that, if I could word this the right way, I was driven to do kinesiology because I really wanted to help people who've gone through knee injuries similar to mine. But as I've gotten, to my 5th year, I realized one thing I really value is just helping people with experiences similar to mine, not just knee injuries in specific, but just in general, how you go about life. So I really want to go into the field of policy and public administration, because when I think about a lot of what's going on in the world and a lot about my upbringing, I feel like a lot of it comes back to how societies, how organizations are structurally framed. And I feel like understanding and knowing how to implement policy is a key in, creating inclusive communities where it's not like a story like mine is an underdog story, but it's more of a norm. And that's a big picture thing I have in terms of my career.
Well, I love the way you broke it down, because a lot of people just take it, but sometimes they might know, but they might not know, but you broke it down what you want to use it for. On that note, we're going to come right back with Kwasi Adu-Poku. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back to Future Prospects with Kwasi Adu-Poku. Kwasi, that was great. I love the way you shared about perseverance, hanging in there, family, everything that youth need to be reminded of. And I just loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Reach series. All right, I want you to run on that. And then we're going to touch, I'm going to erase that for a second. I'm going to go back just for a little minute before we go there. You left on when you're going for your master's,
mm-hmm.
and you says that you want to take it on public policy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you embrace that a little bit more before we get into your next chapter?
Well, yeah, I could really get into that. When quarantine first hit,
right,
and I came back to, my home in Jane and Finch and everything, I really got to thinking, what can I do with my life that can, do the most good for the most amount of people I really can in the most feasible way for myself.
Right.
One of my mentors, a guy named Ahmed Ali, he's just a really cool guy. He told me about this idea of public policy, because I talk so much about wanting to help people and wanting to do something where I feel fulfilled knowing I'm, making a positive impact. And
mm-hmm.
he started telling me, with policy, you can, set the framework to help people or help organizations create these, optimal conditions for not just the people to live in, but just for just the way societies, the way organizations are governed. The way he explained it to me a lot better, he's a professional. But I really just took time over the summer. I spoke to a career counselor. I really started reaching out to policy professionals. A scholarship I won called the Wilson Leader Scholarship Award, which is very prestigious in my school.
Okay, share on that. Quick. Share on that real quick. Come on.
That is a $25,000 scholarship I won that is basically given towards students who they see exceptional leadership potential in.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was an experience of its own just to even get that award. It was
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, but through all those experiences, they just really helped me to see that this idea of public policy and administration is just something that can really, help me take everything I've done, but just take it to another level. And I put in a lot of research. I've talked to a lot of people. I even called a professor at a school. I really shot my shot with that one, and we had an hour-long conversation. Shout out Don Linsky as a Seneca professor. But yeah, I put in a lot of work, and I'm confident this is what I want to do.
Wow. I'm going to ask you something. Is it hard to have someone like myself ask you questions about yourself and talk about yourself? Positive, you know what I mean? Is that hard?
I found that since
Honestly.
If I can be honest with you.
Please.
I'm starting to realize that I've always branded myself as a pretty open person, but I've started to see that I've been as open as I want to be. But talking to you now, I'm starting to realize there's levels that I'm not used to going into. So I'm definitely feeling uncomfortable, but not in a bad way, but just in the sense that I feel like I'm really being challenged, but in the kind of way that'll help me grow and just learn a lot more about myself as a person.
Well, your story, right? Your story is what will inspire other youths. And if it be mentors or whomever that watches the show. So it's beautiful. And that's why I had you delve into areas. Sometimes you might not want to go, but you feel very comfortable in doing it. And I thank you for that. I really, really do. And to share that award with the viewers is to let you know to go for things in life, for you to keep climbing, no matter how high that mountain is, keep going for it. Right?
Right.
You got it, Kwasi. So congratulations again, handsome. Reach series. Da-da-da-da. So share with the viewers on that, my friend.
Well, the Reach series, as you could kind of tell from everything I've said, it's an extension of my life in the form of, structured lessons.
Right.
I started off with 4 modules to start. They're pretty much different chapters of my life broken down into different workshops. And in those workshops, I kind of start with this relatable kind of sequence, and I talk about a lot of things going on in the world that people can relate to. Then I tie it into a personal experience of mine. Then I just bring, the attendants to do an activity that can help them take the lesson I just described into their own lives so they could see a bit more empowerment. And I did that over the summer, and a lot of people have seen benefit from it and have, really thanked me because they told me that this is a window in terms of looking into self-worth and mental health. And I've just seen a lot of benefit in doing something like this. And I feel like the world needs to just have a lot, if not mine, I just feel like these kind of things need to be more recognized,
That's right, hon. Why the title Reach series?
I titled it the Reach series because, like I said, my brothers are my mentors. And from when I was younger in like grade 12, they created a men's basketball team, like a men's league team for us to all play in together. One of my cousins too. We called it the Reach, and that was just because of a show called Young Justice. But now the Reach is just something integral to everything we do and say. And
it is.
I just wanted to call it the Reach series, not just as a tribute to them and, this men's league team, but just everything, their mentorship, everything my experiences with my family has meant to me, I feel trickles into the Reach series, and just this idea of, helping people as they navigate their own doubts and their own worries.
So it's like you want to pay it forward.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely what I feel the Reach series is for sure.
Awesome, hon. Now you're rebranding it as we speak, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome, honey, which we'll see when we digress into break. So people will get to see that. Awesome, hon. Goal setting. How important is goal setting to you, and why youth should do goal setting? Not just mentally do it, write it down.
Well, I think goal setting is important for a lot of reasons. If I could, just go into the first part of it, it's just this idea that, like I said, we all have dreams, and I feel that as we get anxious, we have the off days where we might feel like we're nowhere near, attaining them. I think when we can, write out our goals or just have a process, we could take a lot more comfort in knowing that, this day might not be a good one, but I'm going to get there.
Right.
I feel like with people that get caught up in the idea of having this big dream, but they don't really have any kind of action plan.
That's right.
Lose course, or it's really easy to let everyone experiences doubts, but it's that much easier to let those doubts take you off your path if you just don't have that blueprint set. I just feel like goal setting is really important, because with a lot of the things I've attained in my life, I would not have gotten them if I didn't have some kind of process behind them.
You see, all of this is in Reach series, right?
Yeah, because especially in my 4th week of the Reach series, I talk about how, I literally had a year where all my class was at the same time as my practice schedule. So I found myself really being spread thin for time and energy. And I ended up having to be so resourceful. I ended up having to be so good with my time and my workouts that by the end of the year, I found a way to, earn a lot of good minutes on the team. I even led like the league and offensive rebounding for a bit. And I still managed to maintain my 80 average and get honor roll and everything. So I just really speak to why it's so important, not just to set goals, but to just find ways to manage yourself as you're in the process of attaining them.
Awesome, hon. Okay, there's something else that you just acquired. I don't want to miss this in this segment. You just got hired by the Marauders, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're shaking your head, so humble. What was the position there? Come on.
They just asked me if I could be an athlete academic mentor. So
right.
A couple times a week, they pretty much just bring in some first years who I've talked to throughout, the school year so far. They come to me with their questions, and based on my experiences, I just give them strategies and tips so they could, stay on track as they navigate through their careers and, their student life.
So how did they ask you? What did they see in you that they asked you, Kwasi? Because this is good. You shine, your light shine, whatever the word is, like a beacon out there for them to say, he's got something different that can help the other players coming into the game.
Well, I feel like it was a matter of just me being myself and then in that over time. I have been an honor roll student. I'm in my 5th year of undergrad. I've been an honor roll student every year so far. I've had a pretty good spot on my sports team, so they definitely see the commitment I have on and off the court. So they think there's something in me students can learn from, and once they heard about me also doing the Reach series, they said, you really have experience with this. I think a lot of students would benefit from, your kind of endeavors and who you are. So here's this kind of opportunity, and I just been running with that.
Awesome, hon. Character building.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of character building. Sometimes we forget about it. We're off on our way and we're just doing, how important is character building? I'm branding your Reach series right now because this is all covered in it. So, all right. Character building.
For character building, it just brings me back to one message I pretty much go by. I feel like in life, it's really easy to put on the front with a lot of people. But at the end of the day, when you're alone, when you're, looking at a mirror, you're, as much as you want to try, like you won't be able to lie to that person. And that's where I feel character building comes into place, because I just think as you, go through life, you just really want to be someone who can look themselves in the eye at the end of the day. So I feel that as you, have these careers, have these goals we're all working towards, you want to be someone who's going to be able to, feel like you earned it and feel like this is what's meant for you. Because like, I know I'm young. I could probably be wrong with this mentality because I'm 23, by the time I'm a lot older, I'll definitely have a different mindset. But I just think that with what you do, you want to genuinely, you just genuinely want to feel what you're doing. You want to know in your heart you're doing what's true to yourself. And I just think, I guess I get stuck for words at times because I just feel like this is something so important, because there's a lot of people out there that think that putting on that face is key. But I just really think that showing your true colors from the start it's good for a lot of people. One, people see your intentions from the start. And two, it does wonders for your mental health, because just putting on that front I've just seen a lot of people do it and I see the effects it has on them. And I would not wish that on my worst enemy. And that's why I just really tell a lot of people, just stay true to you. Because if people don't like that person, at the end of the day, it's their loss. That's just something I've gone by.
And that's not the kind of people you want in your circle, right?
Yeah.
You keep moving on. On that note, my love, oh my God, amazing. We'll be right back with Kwasi Adu-Poku. Right back, guys. welcome back to Future Prospects with Kwasi Adu-Poku. You know something? You are a wise man. Wise. How old are you, may I ask? Is that okay?
I recently turned 23.
23! Wow, when was you?
Face, but yeah.
Sorry?
I got a young face, but I'm older than people think sometimes.
That's all right, honey. You hold on to that young face. All right? It's all good. It's all good. So, I can't let you go without touching upon this. And right now, there's a conversation that needs to be kept in the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And what's dear to my heart, and I know it's dear to yours, is a conversation of systemic racism, equality, fairness. And I'd like to hear your views on it, your concerns, on what you would like to see change. And that's right along the lines of your public policy that you're doing your master's. So what is your concern when you see or what's going on, and what, just share with the viewers on that?
With everything that I see that isn't just going on now, but everything that's been going on for the past couple of years.
Yes.
If there's one thing that's come out of 2020 that's helped promote, the kind of life we want to be in, the kind of life we want our, descendants to be in, it's just been this acknowledgement that a lot of the things we've gotten used to should have never been okay from the start.
Right.
And I think now we're in a trend where we're really starting to break down a lot of the barriers. We're really starting to amplify a lot of the voices that have been pushed down for so long. I think the world's just going in a really great direction, but like you said, just us coming together to just really take the time to, give the attention and energy that these causes deserve. No matter what higher powers may, attempt to keep people down, as we come together and keep finding our voice. I think as we keep going on, we're going to have a world that's worth living in. Like we're living in a good place right now. I'm happy to be in Canada, but there's still people we can go to, because even me living in Toronto and like in Jane and Finch, literally to the north of me is the city of Vaughan, and it's named after Benjamin Vaughan, who was he advocated for, slavery and everything. So it's just, there's still remnants of oppression that still linger in our society today. And I just think now we're really starting to become a lot more aware of it, which is just something I'm really happy to see.
Have you yourself, and I always go to the core, if you don't mind, Kwasi, have you yourself ever dealt with any racial issues in your life?
Well, I know there was the Black Student Athlete Review, if you had the time to look at that.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, different athletes were sharing their experiences. Just for the sake of like privacy and everything, I guess I won't fully dive in to that unless that's okay. We're cool. We're chilling. But I've had instances where I've definitely in the moment I might have felt like, okay, this is a little weird, or I'm kind of uncomfortable, but I'm gonna just stay tough, as we're brought up to be as young Black men in this society. But I'm gonna keep it pushing.
Right.
It wasn't until I looked. I guess I've been saying this a lot. It wasn't until I looked back that I thought, there was something deeply wrong with this scenario. So I could definitely say I'm someone who's been put in spaces where I've been, in a sense, tokenized. As much as I'm from the Jane and Finch community, one thing that I know a lot of us do from that area, we just really try to not use it as an excuse. We try to, push and succeed in spite of that. But I find that a lot of people are just really quick to put us in a certain box or have us as some kind of like just token to say, yeah, we got the Jane and Finch kid or something like that, and I guess I kind of lost my point, because I guess that kind of side of it is just things that I've started to really just see that shouldn't have been okay from the start. Right.
Now, you're a young man from Jane and Finch that has pushed through barriers. You shared that in segment 1, and you've made something on your life and with your life. Now, I always like to push the bar a little bit because there's two sides to the conversation. All right. How do I say this? Just to find the right words. Sometimes we look back and we hold and we think, we always look at life and think, oh my God, well, I'm Black. Like I'm Black. I'm not going to get anywhere. and we use it in a sense, just saying you can open this as a conversation, that I'm not going to get anywhere because I'm going to be held back. But you're a young Black man, and I always have to keep saying black, white. It's just like, oh my gosh, a young human being, but Black, that got through high school, doing so well at McMaster, going for your master's, breaking barriers, scholarships, formed your own business, your own platform, recognized by the Marauders McMaster's basketball team. Hello. So when you look at others, what do you see that they could do for themselves, Kwasi?
I see a lot. Like with a lot of people, I find that, well, not just a lot. Okay, no, let me just backtrack it to myself because
Go for it.
I've been someone who, as you can see, has definitely been a high achiever with a lot of the things I've done. But
right.
The problem, if I could be honest with myself, is I've been so caught up in doing more that I've often kind of sent this message to myself that what I am right now isn't enough. So one thing I really wish others could see for themselves, especially those hardworking people, you're working to get to where you want to go, but just really take the time to acknowledge the person you are now and the things you've done in the past, because I feel that if you're someone who keeps looking forward and looking to see what you have yet to do, you're not really going to take in that whole path you walked, and you're still going to be focusing on, I haven't gotten this accolade, but you're not really going to realize that you got 5 behind you, So I feel like as you take the time to be confident in your path, you'll start to, feel a lot more empowered as you go to continue to walk down it.
But you've lived in an area which was hard, right? Right? Yeah. Okay. Now you could have remained, but you fought through, Kwasi. That's what I'm getting to. And you're saying it very, very well. Is that I want to rock the boat with a lot of young people, if it be Jane and Finch or anywhere in life. You can become what you want to become. How? It's not where you're at, it's how.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I've realized, and one thing that's brought me to this field of policy, is just the idea that, I really grew up thinking that it boiled down to how hard I worked. But when I really just look at, some of my friends who aren't here today because of things like gun violence or unfortunate accidents, this past summer, they're alive now, but I almost lost someone really dear, someone really close to me, and they're not involved in, any kind of nefarious activities, but I easily could have been that person, and I've just found that, yes, hard work is so important, but a big part of it is the community you live in, where you're at. And I guess I've just started to really see that I've been fortunate for a lot of things that haven't happened to me. And right. Yeah, as I go into my career, what I hope to be my career, I'll help others who can have the privilege of just thinking hard work is all it takes, because there's a lot of people who work hard, but just because of where they're from, because of some unfortunate incidents, they just don't get to realize those dreams. So I just want to help people raise that bar of living so they can realize theirs.
Now thank you. Very well said, my friend. When we spoke throughout the pre-interview, you had mentioned that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that with what you're doing now, you would like to work on different policies or different initiatives within the community, within your community that you left. Mm-hmm. Is that something you'd like to do, with it be Reach Series or your masters or just moving forward? Is that something, because I know there's different programs that went into Jane and Finch, lots of different initiatives that came down, lots. But when I go down there the odd time, and that's where I go to get my hair done, is that I don't see, and I speak to a lot of educators and a lot of leaders, and I don't see much change happening. I hear the same story 24/7. And just being honest, and that's who I am. And I feel that there's more that can be done. But what would you like to see within that community, with the violence that still is happening, and for the betterment of the community?
Well, I even had a call earlier in the day, but through my scholarship program I'm currently working on a research paper. Well, it's more of an op-ed actually, but we're just really looking in communities and Toronto, but namely Jane and Finch. And we're just thinking, how could we improve social outcomes? How could we enhance community well-being? So something we're looking into is just this idea of, if more public funding is allocated to these community initiatives, because a lot of people think that, there's just an initiative that hasn't been done that'd be the fix-all solution. But I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of these causes, there's a lot of these initiatives going on, but they're just underfunded to such an extent that they can't have the impact they really would if they, had the adequate supply. So we're just really looking in to see, if all these organizations are given the money, they need to really make their programs effective, not effective, but effective, will we start to see the change we want? And I could keep researching and learning. That's really why I want to get my master's, so I could just be a lot more educated on this opinion. But I feel that allocating more money towards community initiatives is one of the biggest answers. And even when I think about defunding the police, we're looking into that, because I know a lot of people talk about it, but a lot of people might not really know what that looks like. We're just really starting to think about, what could we do to promote, or what could we do to increase community police relations? And we think a part of that would be I'm speaking for myself here, but I think if one of the police's core missions is, to serve and protect and, improve the well-being of citizens across, their regions, if we can improve social outcomes through community initiatives, we'll see a decline in a lot of the problems we see, and we'll see an increase in well-being. So there won't be that same need for, over-policing of, systemically oppressed communities. And that's just my 2 cents on the matter. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
I can see you, my friend, getting into, you're a great leader. You're a great voice for your community. But when I drive down Jane and Finch now, I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. I see your name everywhere. Vote. Vote for Kwasi Adu-Poku. I can see it. I can see it clearly. The initiatives that you're going to bring into that. One word of wisdom to our youth before we leave, hon. One word of wisdom that you'd like to leave.
One word? I feel like one word. I might have to say a sentence or two.
Sentence, go for it.
Sentence? So many things come to mind, but I have a lot of quotes around my room. So
okay, you got to say it real fast there, handsome.
Real fast? My bad. Okay, one thing I found, a lot of people are going to want the same things as you, so you should really just take the time to believe in yourself, because that's what's going to make the difference.
Wow. Love you, buddy. You're amazing. Thank you for coming on. You got to do the heart. Do the heart.
My bad.
Do the heart. Love you, buddy. Bye, Kwasi.
I'm Mother Earth, giver of life. I'm Mother Earth, love.